So, folks, we got to talk about war crimes. And I know this isn't the most fun subject, so obviously massive trigger warning. But we gotta go through it because this is one of the biggest stories in Washington D.C. right now, and has captured the attention of basically the entire country because we have essentially some pretty solid evidence that the US government is just murdering people. Which, having covered the story about the bombing of these boats, which I think they're like there might now be over 90 people dead. I've lost count of how many strikes we have done and how many people we have killed as a result of them. But we're like, we knew that, but there's a difference between knowing something and having direct evidence of it, especially when it comes to legal consequences. And, well, the direct evidence is starting to pile up. Earlier today, the family of a Colombian man killed in the first U.S. strike has alleged human rights abuses, violations against the United States government. This is going to be picked up by essentially a international watchdog of the Americas, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights is what it's called, which works across all of the Americas to pursue justice for human rights abuses. And it's, this is like one small part of what is going to begin to come out now, which is more and more evidence that these strikes are just murders. Because again, we call, like, we're getting a bit nebulous with our terminology of like, oh, they're war crimes, oh, they're murders. We aren't at war with anybody. The Trump administration is trying to claim we are at war, and that is what justifies the killing of these people on boats. But we aren't at war. There has been no formal declaration of war. We aren't fighting like in a nation.
I pounded a bunch of super delicious fried rice, and now I might die from hiccups. I might not make it.
Poor timing on that one, Begrackled, but I hope you do make it. Thank you for the $5 super chat. But where we're at right now is that more and more of this evidence is going to come to light, right? And what is now kind of in the air is, hey, if it did come to light that the United States was in fact directly just killing people for the hell of it, would there be consequences? Well, here's what Donald Trump had to say when asked directly about that.
If it is found that survivors were actually killed while clinging onto that boat, should Secretary Hegseth, Admiral Bradley, or others be punished?
I think you're going to find that this is war, that these people were killing our people by the millions, actually, if you look over a few years. I think last year we lost close to 300,000 people were killed. That's not mentioning all the families. Have you seen what happens with the families of not only the people killed, the people that are trying to get their son or their daughter off of this poison that they've been fed? I think you...
If it is...
Number one, unrelated to any of the content, Donald Trump looks like he's dying. Like I have never seen him look this bad. It looks like his body is slouching into itself. He looks like he is attempting to cover up a deathly pallor, and his hair is just straight up looking dog shit. Now, on the substance of it, Donald Trump is trying to say, well, we're at war because drugs kill a lot of people, but that's not a war. Like, that isn't a war. And drug dealing is also not a crime that comes with, the death penalty. We are not, the Philippines and Duterte. It's really upsetting because essentially what he's saying is, no, it's totally fine. If we found out that we were just killing enemy combatants who were completely and utterly at our mercy, No, that's fine. That's not a crime. That actually is a crime. Like, it actually is a crime to kill, even in like a war where with a formal declaration and all of that. It is a crime to kill defenseless enemy combatants. Like, if the enemy is surrendering, it's a crime to kill them. If the enemy is defenseless and poses no threat, a crime to kill them. There have been, like, you can look back at history, even in Nazi Germany, they prosecuted war crimes. This is like something, what we're doing right now is beyond that. And we are just killing non-combatants. We're just killing civilians. We are just killing. And one of the aspects that I find really chilling about this is that he's just like, well, no, the drugs kill a lot of people, and thus, really, it's like they're killing hundreds of thousands of people every year. But it's not remotely the same. It is not remotely the same for someone to die of a drug overdose as like someone to be shot from an enemy nation. And these excuses are going to get flimsier and flimsier as the days go by. Now, here is an earlier clip of Pete Hegseth trying to defend himself. Now, at this point, he has almost certainly been coached by lawyers into how to phrase certain things, so he is limiting his legal liability for these. But keep in mind, he's the Secretary of War, I guess. And the buck kind of stops with him, especially because the story that came out about him, that leaked, because again, knives are coming out from every corner of the Republican sphere because Donald Trump is weakening, right? Physically, mentally, politically. And someone leaked that Pete Hegseth gave an order to essentially kill all of them. Which again, that if true, that is an illegal order. You cannot give a no quarter order. That is a like just blatantly illegal under US law, under international law, etc. Right? But here's what he had to say.
The first couple of strikes, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that. A lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike.
Into building that case that we have not presented to the American public. There's no evidence, by the way, that any of these people were actually trafficking drugs. Because it's just, well, the government said that they were, and like no evidence has been presented.
As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So
I am of course personally responsible for the first few things, obviously, but then I'm super busy. I had to use the toilet. They were having happy hour at 11 a.m. So, I had to go, like that's how I do. This is him trying to dodge responsibility. Like, oh, well, of course I had full responsibility at first, but, after that, I left the room and, who knows who could have taken over. Like, that's what he's trying to do. Also, yes, Donald Trump is 1000% falling asleep while his Secretary of Defense is trying to defend himself against serious war crime allegations.
Moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had.
He wakes up and then he falls asleep again.
The complete authority to do. And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat.
No, it wasn't my decision to sink the boat and kill them all. It was Admiral Bradley. It cannot be clear enough. It wasn't me, it was him. He did all of the work, all of the decision making. It was him. Don't worry, it wasn't me, him. Not me, him.
Sunk the boat and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back. And
yeah, it was the right call because I believe in what he did. but I'm not legally responsible for what he did. Look, I'm not the responsible one. I'm just the Secretary of Defense, everybody. I'm not responsible for what they do.
The American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will, the first couple.
Now look, obviously we had to bomb the boats, and eventually we might also bomb people on the ground. We'll just bomb anyone on the roads coming into America, from Mexico. We'll bomb them, and and we'll just kill them all. I mean, wait a minute. Someone below me will kill them all, and it won't be my fault. It will be their fault. Understand that this is like one of those things that plays horribly with people in the armed services. People in the military want to know that their leaders are going to take responsibility for their orders, and what Pete Hegseth here is doing is throwing under the bus his subordinate. Right? Like, this is just straight up, oh, yeah, no, guys, this isn't my fault. It's not me. This is essentially what the reporting is. The reporting is just, yeah, he's trying to dodge accountability. Like, you're the one who ordered no survivors. You're the one who ordered the strikes. Unless Donald Trump is the one who ordered no survivors. And it is possible that is the case. It is incredibly possible that Donald Trump wanted that to happen, and Pete Hegseth just said, anything you say, boss. And now Hegseth is playing defense for Trump. Entirely possible. But right now, it's really looking like Pete Hegseth is in some hot water. In case I wasn't clear, let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch, that's Mitch Bradley, Bradley, is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. I stand by him and the combat decisions he has made. Not me, he. Not me, he. Say similar word, I want to make sure you guys get the quote correct. He has made. Not me has made. He has made. On the September 2nd mission and all others since, which I had nothing to do with all of those other missions, and the September 2nd one, I didn't have anything to do with that one either. America is fortunate to have such men like that. Again, ADMIRAL space MITCH space BRADLEY. Admiral Mitch Bradley, protecting us. When this Department of War says we have the back of our warriors, we mean it. We have your back, not my back. We have your back. I have your back. Not you. You don't have my back. I have your back because I support you. Because you're the one who made that decision that fateful day. Of course. Not me, you. And, of course, Republicans have gone into overdrive trying to, justify this. But it seems like a losing battle, so to speak. And some of the most baffling defenses that I have seen come from, for example, Dan Crenshaw. Here he is trying to defend these boat strikes, which, again, killing defenseless non-combatants.
I can't recall any time in my history doing counterterrorism operations where we strike a group, whether that's a building or a boat or a vehicle, and then we were like, oh, well, there's survivors. Do we have to go? We can't kill them. Of course we kill them. I can't.
That's just a member of the House of Representatives casually admitting to doing war crimes. Just in case anyone didn't catch that. Just like yeah, no, of course you do the war crime. You bomb the house with the terrorists inside, and then of course you have to kill the women and children too. You don't just leave them alive. They'll grow up to have a vendetta against you. You have to kill all of them. Obviously, of course, it's just common sense. You do the war crime. No, it's genuinely insane the responses. Here's Megyn Kelly, fresh off of her hot take of, actually it's totally fine to rape a 15-year-old, and that's not pedophilia, argument that nobody joined in on. She was alone on that one, and I think we should just call her Megyn Pedo Defender Kelly from here on out, because that is where she stuck her flag. Decides she's gonna wander into a hot take herself.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people. Yeah. So I really...
Yeah, no, Megyn Kelly's defense is, well, legally it might be unacceptable, but, I personally would really like to see people tortured to death. Again, this is like all of the worst impulses within like the conservative world wrapped up into one. That's Megyn Kelly in a nutshell. I don't know how you are able to say into a camera that you want to watch people get tortured to death. Like, this is the mindset of someone who is a snuff film aficionado. Like, she just spends her time watching the life drain from people's eyes as they get tortured. It's like I guess in like the universe of Hostel, she would be like one of the people who pays to like engage in the torture porn, because this is what she craves. It's really disgusting stuff. But this is like the best defense that these people have, right? That this is such an indefensible act. The act of killing shipwrecked people who pose no threat to anybody. And she's like, well, I would really like to see them tortured to death. That's her best defense. Why does she keep making herself more vile? Because she knows the more vile she is, the more attention she will get. And right now, Republicans seem to be rewarding that like bloodlust with their time, attention, and their money. It's really, really unfortunate. It is just a huge indictment of where they're all at. Now, one would think that if Pete Hegseth was in, a bit of a pickle regarding, potentially ordering a no-quarter slaughter of non-combatants, that perhaps he might want to lay a bit low on social media. Well, if he did receive that advice from his lawyer, he is not following it. Here is a tweet from earlier today from Andrew Colvett talking about Pete Hegseth because, and for those who don't know, Andrew Colvett was one of Charlie Kirk's co-hosts. Every new attack aimed at Pete Hegseth makes me want another narco drug boat blown up and sent to the bottom of the ocean. Because again, their only defense of this is more bloodlust. And then Pete Hegseth responds saying, "Your wish is our command, Andrew. Just sunk another narco boat." What this appears to be, from my end, is that Pete Hegseth ordered a boat of people slaughtered for internet clout. That's what this looks like to me. This looks like Pete Hegseth saw Andrew Colvett's tweet and said, well, we can kill more people, and then gave another order to kill more people. This is slaughter for clout. Like, I don't know what else to call it. It's beyond obscene. Like, this guy needs to rot in prison for the rest of his days. He had his lawyer and his 9th beer bottle on each shoulder like an angel and a devil, and the beer won out. Yeah, no kidding. Now, one of the lines that has been used to try and kind of justify what has happened in the Wall Street Journal is a bit interesting here. This is from yesterday, right? The Wall Street Journal published this. Survivors of boat strike were actively continuing drug mission. Admiral to tell lawmakers. Basically, the story the Wall Street Journal posts is that the admiral has intimated that he is going to tell lawmakers that, the second strike on the survivors of the first boat strike was justified because they were somehow continuing the drug mission. This was all supposed to take place in a closed-door briefing, right? Well, a bunch of folks in Congress got briefed on this, and some of them are incredibly shaken.
Admiral Bradley and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff did the right thing. Admiral Bradley defended the decisions taken, and Admiral Bradley has a storied career, and he has my respect, and he should have the respect of all of us. But what I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. You have two individuals in clear distress, without any means of locomotion, with a destroyed vessel, who were killed by the United States.
Can you tell us a little bit more about exactly what was so troubling? Like, what were some of the things that troubled you?
Under the DoD manual for abiding by the laws of armed conflict, the specific example given of an impermissible action is attacking a shipwreck. Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but attacking shipwrecked sailors. Now there's a whole set of contextual items that the Admiral explained. Yes, they were carrying drugs. They were not in the position to continue their mission in any way.
Why I feel like if anyone should be the Joint Chiefs of Staff, it should be Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong.
God damn it. I knew, I as soon as text-to-speech said joint, I knew where you were going with that, Sake. Thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs.
People will someday see this video and they will see that
always cutting the tension, Sake.
That video shows, if you don't have the broader context, an attack on shipwrecked sailors.
Who ordered that?
Was Hegseth involved in this?
The last thing I'm going to say is that the Admiral confirmed that there had not been a kill them all order, and that there was not an order to grant no quarter.
So does it exonerate Hegseth? Does it exonerate him?
That's all I got.
Uh-huh. Well, I hope that Admiral is ready to go straight to hell and prison, I guess. Basically, guys, yeah, this is absolutely 1000% a violation of all laws of war. And I have a feeling that there are going to be more leaks, and I have a feeling that there might possibly be some actual evidence of Pete Hegseth giving such an order. And the admiral that is currently in charge of this operation has a lot of, let's be really clear here, came in after the previous admiral left because of what was being done with these boat strikes. This happened a month ago. He just retired. No real notice. It seems to me to be directly related. And Admiral Alvin Halsey, when he retired back in October, was the one who was in charge of all of this. At least that's my understanding. The person in charge might not have been the one who heard that order. Or the person answering questions might not have been the one who heard that order. I'm going to put forward here. Of course, apparently, Pete Hegseth asked the previous admiral to step down, and he did. Now, lawmakers have, of course, gone on to talk about additional details from that footage. Survivors clinging to capsized boat didn't radio for backup, admiral overseeing double tap strike tells lawmakers. So they had no ability to move. They did not have ability to communicate. There is no world in which they were continuing their drug mission with no ability to move their boat or radio for backup. It makes it like there's no real ambiguity here. There are no circumstances, no matter how bad the people are that you are engaging with, even if it was like in the depths of an honest-to-God war. You cannot kill people in the scenario those people were in, and we did it anyway. Every single person involved with that needs to go to prison, needs to have some level of accountability for snuffing out those lives. As far back as September, defense officials have been quietly pushing back on criticism that killing the 2 survivors amounted to a war crime by arguing in part that they were legitimate targets because they appeared to be radioing for help or backup, reinforcements that, if they had received it, could have theoretically allowed them to continue to traffic the drugs aboard their sinking ship. Defense officials made that claim in at least one briefing in September for congressional staff, according to a source familiar with the session, and several media outlets cited officials repeating that justification in the last week. But to Thursday, Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley acknowledged that the 2 survivors of the military's initial strike were in no position to make a distress call in his briefings to lawmakers. Bradley was in charge of the Joint Special Operations Command at the time of the strike and was the top military officer directing the attack. The first strike split the boat in half, killing 9 instantly, capsizing it and sending a massive smoke plume into the sky. The argument that the remaining 2 floundering in the water with a boat that was broken in half, it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. Ultimately, Bradley told lawmakers he ordered a second strike to destroy the remains of the vessel, killing the 2 survivors on the grounds that it appeared that part of the vessel remained afloat because it still held cocaine. The survivors could, hypothetically, have floated to safety, been rescued, and carried on with trafficking the drugs, the logic went. The other source with direct knowledge of the briefing called the rationale fucking insane. Well, the half of the boat that was still floating might still have cocaine in it, so we have to kill them. And basically, folks, there's a group of former military lawyers, former JAGs, called the Former JAGs Working Group. And they released a statement saying that if this is true, if there was an order that went out to provide no quarter, it is very obviously like war crimes, murder, or both. And that is a direct quote. It is war crimes, murder, or both. This is the statement. Yesterday, the Washington Post and CNN reported that the Secretary of Defense personally issued orders to kill everybody aboard a civilian vessel suspected of narco-trafficking. The attack on the 2nd of September 2025 targeted a vessel carrying 11 civilians and, allegedly, an unknown quantity of drugs. The first strike resulted in near total destruction of the vessel. However, 2 survivors were apparently observed via surveillance video clinging to wreckage, whereupon the commander directing the operation ordered a second strike. The second strike killed both survivors. The former JAGs working group unanimously considers both the giving and the execution of these orders, if true, to constitute war crimes, murder, or both. Our group was established in February of 2025 in response to SecDef's firing of the Army and Air Force Judge Advocates General, JAG, and his systematic dismantling of the military's legal guardrails. Had those guardrails been in place, we are confident they would have prevented these crimes. If the United States military operation to interdict and destroy suspected narco-trafficking vessels is a non-international armed conflict, as the Trump administration suggests, orders to kill everybody, which can be reasonably regarded as an order to give no quarter, and to double-tap a target in order to kill survivors, are clearly illegal under international law. In short, they are war crimes. If the U.S. military operation is not an armed conflict of any kind, these orders to kill helpless civilians clinging to the wreckage of a vessel are military destroyed, would subject everyone from the Secretary of Defense down to the individual who pulled the trigger to prosecution under U.S. law for murder. We call upon Congress to investigate and the American people to oppose any use of U.S. military that involves intentional targeting of anyone, enemy combatants, non-combatants, or civilians, rendered hors de combat, out of the fight, as a result of their wounds or the destruction of the ship or aircraft carrying them. We also advise our fellow citizens that orders like those described above are the kinds of patently illegal orders all military members have a duty to disobey. Since orders to kill survivors of an attack at sea are patently illegal, anyone who issues or follows such orders can and should be prosecuted for war crimes, murder, or both. You can't target civilians, so the first strike is also illegal? Exactly. Also, worth noting, one of the people who is chiming in on this is a lawyer for Harvard's law school named Jack Goldsmith. Now, for those of you who don't know who Jack Goldsmith is, he's basically the guy who ran the Office of Legal Counsel for the George W. Bush administration. Like, this guy is about as conservative as they get. And his statement on this was, quote, "In short, if the Post's facts are correct, it appears that Special Operations Forces committed murder when the two men were blown apart in the water, as the Post put it."
Defunding public media was a war crime.
Indeed, Sake Tanuki. Thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Appreciate the support. Now, this all leaves the Trump administration in a bit of a pickle, obviously, because people don't generally like it when they find out their military is actively committing war crimes. And it turns out members of the military also don't much like being told that they are being asked to commit war crimes. Because already there are record numbers of calls coming in to lawyers outside of the military to ask if the orders they're getting are gonna be prosecuted as war crimes. And it leaves the Trump administration in a uniquely vulnerable political position. And the question is, are Democrats going to rise to the occasion and call for Pete Hegseth to be impeached for what is apparently war crimes, murder, or both? And the answer to that is, of course, that Hakeem Jeffries is bravely going to stand up and say, no, don't expect us to do the right thing. Again, cowardly, spineless behavior. Why? Because these people are feckless. That's why. Well, you know what? Let's check in with the Senate. How about Chuck Schumer? What is Chuck Schumer's strong, principled stance on whether or not the United States is committing war crimes?
You called on Hegseth to release the full tapes of the attack. We heard earlier in the show Chairman Wicker saying that he is seeking those tapes as well. What sort of action are Democrats prepared to take to try to make this happen, to getting those tapes?
Well, we hope that we can bring before the committees, bipartisan, as you said, Senator Wicker has been very much involved here, and get the top military people to testify, and we hope that they will release the tapes. You know, Hegseth is hiding something here, and he's known to be a liar. He said that the Washington Post story had no validity, and today the White House directly contradicted him that it did. And if he has nothing to hide, if he said he did nothing wrong, if he said no laws were violated, release the tapes.
You called.
What are Democrats prepared to do? Wait patiently and hope that Republicans do the right thing. Yeah, that'll work. That's worked so many times recently. That's worked definitely so many times. Wait, what's that? No, it hasn't worked at all ever in the last 50 years. Oh, that's crazy.
People are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
And that brings us to, like, one of the final elements of this story, which is that this is really bringing out the worst in all of the most ghoulish people you are aware of. The Trump administration is basically saying, well, you know, Pete Hegseth didn't do war crimes, but maybe his subordinates did some war crimes. But if they did, they were righteous and just war crimes. Totally righteous and just, and definitely not murder. And meanwhile, Republican pundits are out there basically saying, well, I would like to see more brutal deaths, actually. And members of Congress in the Republican Party are going like, well, back when I was in war, I did war crimes all the time. And in all of this, we may have lost sight of the really important thing. How can this be profitable to U.S. companies? Because the U.S. companies here are wondering, how can we make a quick buck off of what's happening? And wouldn't you know it, Gizmodo had an article recently about war crimes in particular. Palantir CEO says making war crimes constitutional would be good for business. Palantir CEO and Trump ally Alex Karp is no stranger to controversial, trollish even comments. The latest one just dropped. Karp believes the U.S. boat strikes in the Caribbean, which many experts believe to be war crimes, are a money-making opportunity for his company. At the New York Times Deal Book Summit on Wednesday, Karp was asked about the worries over the unconstitutionality of the boat strikes. Quote, part of the reason why I like this questioning is the more constitutional you want to make it, the more precise you want to make it, the more you are going to need my product, Karp said. His reasoning is that if it's constitutional, you would have to make sure 100%, you would have to make 100% sure of the exact conditions it's happening in. And in order to do that, the military would have to use Palantir's technology, for which it pays roughly $10 billion under its current contract. So you keep pushing on making it constitutional. I'm totally supportive of that. Every single one of these people belongs in prison, and that is me being incredibly charitable to them. And you want to know something? Want to know one of the worst parts? Is that when the Trump administration is gone, people like Alex Karp are still going to be in charge of companies like Palantir. And they're going to expect us all to forget what they said and what they believe. And I fear that they might be right. I fear that they are we are going to forget who they are, what they stood for in these times. And I'm furious at that prospect. This is one of the most inhuman things I've ever heard. You should make the slaughter of innocents legal so that we can sell more technology to the US government. It's hard to wrap your head around that. It's hard to wrap your heart around that. One of the things we really need to reckon with is that when the left comes into power again, we need to make sure that companies like Palantir are systematically dismantled. We need to make sure that people like Alex Karp cannot do what they are currently doing. We need to make sure that the power structures that enabled this fascistic regime are utterly and completely obliterated. We need to make sure that we have done everything within our power to make sure the beast of fascism does not rise again. Because if we leave the Alex Karps of this world to their own devices, they are going to try and enslave us. They are going to try to maximize their profits by any means necessary, up to and including enslaving us and slaughtering us. And if you think, oh, well, they wouldn't just slaughter us, that's literally what he's arguing for right here. And if you think, oh, his line is like, well, it's fine if you slaughter people of other countries, but not in the United States. Making war crimes illegal would include allowing the US government to slaughter us en masse. And he's okay with that because he views us as cattle that he can slaughter for his own profit. And frankly, companies like his, power structures that enable that kind of ideology cannot be allowed to exist in a civilized society. In a society that values truth and freedom, and in a society that values human life. This man is an enemy to everyone who draws breath, and so is his company, Palantir, as is the Trump administration. What you need to do is what we all need to do. You need to join your local Democrats and radicalize them. Make sure the up-and-comers of the next generation are not more Hakeem Jeffries, are not more Chuck Schumers. And then you need to join your DSA and you need to make them more effective because centrists they already have entrenched power structures in the Democratic Party. If we are outsiders and progressives coming in to radicalize local Democratic parties, that is a long-term project. But one of the easy ways we can build up outside power to be called upon to juice up progressives in races is also by making DSA more effective. You can think of DSA as the engine that can get us into power. But we also need folks who are in the room in the Democratic Party who can run, who can win people over. So those are two different things. And there are other groups you can organize with too as well. But those are the two I know almost everyone in this country has access to. And if you need help figuring out how to join your local Dems, you can join our Discord and reach out to Dragonfly. Dragonfly is someone who is very active in the Democratic Party and is willing to help connect you with your local Democratic Party so that you can begin the work of radicalizing them to better politics. Okay? We also have a section of the Discord dedicated to talking about radicalizing your local Democrats. You can also join to talk about making your DSA more effective. We have a section of the Discord dedicated to that. And if you need help joining your local DSA or help forming a new chapter, you can reach out to Gamergy. Gamergy has graciously dedicated her time to helping folks in the community get involved with DSA. And I believe our membership is getting close to 50 so far, folks who have joined DSA and engage with the wider community here. I'm guessing more people have joined who just aren't engaging with this community we have. But the important thing here is to organize. To organize with folks online, to organize with folks in real life. You got to go out there and network and organize, win people over, build community, and win your local political scene, and then start working on winning your statewide scene and, God willing, the national one. Okay? And it's really, really, really important for folks to get to work doing this project because we need to build power, and we need to build power fast. We're going into the midterms in 2026. We are set up to win, and we need to make sure progressives are winning in as many places as possible. And not only that, we need to make sure we're building that power base for 2028 and beyond. Because we need to get Medicare for all. We need to get the policies that are going to help us all live, thrive, and survive. And that is goddamn important. Because the people out there arrayed against us, they want to slaughter us for profit. And they're saying it out loud, in public, on stage. So let's get to work, folks. And if you got anything out of this segment, I won't say if you enjoyed this segment. If you got anything out of this segment, please like, comment, subscribe. And commenting is actually super important for the video to do well in the algorithm. So please consider leaving a comment. Let me know what you thought. And also consider checking out Imogene Olivia, gender euphoric lingerie line that my partner and I launched. It is designed from the ground up for trans femmes and also just anyone who wants to feel feminine. We've tested it out with cis men, cis women, a bunch of folks in between, and you know what? It's gotten universal praise. And also, for those of you who want Packer compatibility, in the future, we're going to be adding a line that has just that for enhancement purposes. So keep checking in for that. That should be coming sometime next year. And if you need a link, ImogeneOlivia.com. Check it should be linked down in the description. And with that, folks, I'll see you next time. Let's go!
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and Swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.